Quick introduction from a top level in terms of what Martello IQ, which is the name of our IT ops management solution, can do. Again, I mentioned it's able to bring in data from different data sources, a number of different IT management tools. Justin will walk through a couple of those shortly. So the types of things that we pull in are alerts, events, incidents, and devices with state. So as a simple example, if you were looking at SolarWinds, we would show you your network devices, your network nodes, your applications, whether they're green, yellow, red, based on SolarWinds monitoring and thresholds, and then any alerts that are associated with that. And using that data, you're able to, one, quickly search through a vast set of data that normally would require swivel chairing between multiple systems. You can organize that data into various boards and services so that you can look at that data that makes sense to you, whether that's by department or city, or functional responsibility, that sort of thing. And then you're able to share that out to interested stakeholders so that they can also get a view into this data. And we manage all the permissions for you right from this single pane of glass. So you're not having to worry about going back to all these individual systems and providing access to parts of that application that you may not want to. We provide a really easy way for you to deploy and share out dashboards that can be accessed remotely, whether that's in a read-only fashion or actually providing the ability for the users to take action and control those dashboards. One of the other popular areas of the product is our integration with service management tools like ServiceNow. So often companies have standardized on ServiceNow as their help desk portal, for example, and there might be some inertia or friction to introducing yet another tool to manage those incidents. Well, Martello IQ can kind of act as the glue between your IT systems and your service management system, where as problems bubble up from your monitoring tools, we can create intelligent incidents into the ServiceNow system, for example, where your help desk will get visibility into a problem, a consolidated snapshot of the details that IQ has understood about that problem, alerts, current data, devices affected, that sort of thing. The help desk user can take action, and IQ can be responsible for cleaning up all the alerts in the underlying systems so that you're not left with a bunch of irrelevant alerts in your monitoring systems. This is a nice graphic that hopefully better illustrates what I've been saying is, on the left side, we have a number of disparate tools. We have network tools, cloud tools, service management tools. Maybe we have some APM tools in there, and they're all providing fairly low-level data in terms of alerts based on thresholds being crossed or devices that are unhealthy based on some alerts or performance data, but they don't necessarily correlate to the business, right? What are the things that you need to keep running that are important for your business? So traditionally, it would take a lot of manual effort to understand when a device were to become unhealthy, what's the impact, right? Does this impact something critical to the company that we really need to prioritize quickly? Or is it something that's not really that important and it can wait? And this is important because a lot of organizations are dealing with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, in some cases, millions of alerts and events and incidents. And it's impossible to just go through them all looking for something that might be a problem. You need some better way for the solution to kind of bubble up what you should be looking at. So when all this data feeds through Martello IQ, we can correlate, prioritize, and organize all that data into business services, the output that we see kind of on the right, where now when a device becomes unhealthy, I don't really have to understand where that device is being used, because in my services overview dashboard, I will immediately see that my CRM system, for example, is impacted. And that allows me to prioritize and triage effectively based on the importance of that service. And on the far right here, we see some of the benefits that we have. Stakeholders get the dashboards that they need. We can really increase the visibility to these problems to the business, and as a result, decrease the MTTR, or how long it takes to resolve these problems. And again, just get the business focused on the impact of the business and not necessarily low-level IT component data.
I think if I could interject a little bit in there, if any of you have ever heard from the business, we just want to know if email's running, give us a red and green box, right? That's the right-hand side. That's what we really fulfill as well. Just taking that, giving that to every stakeholder in a dashboard. And so if you do hear that, definitely give us a thought on that one, because that's exactly where we're driving on this one. And that's an end result for the benefits there.
So we see 4 key elements to Martello IQ. And I'll go through each of these in a little bit more detail before we quickly jump into a demo to actually show this stuff live. So, first around dashboarding. So I mentioned the ability to organize data based on what makes sense to you. And this is really done in a very flexible way because every company may have different needs here. Some people prefer to organized based on department or office location. Some of our customers are MSPs where they're organizing this by customer. So there's lots of different ways that we can allow you to structure this data based on what makes sense for you. You can have really technical dashboards for your operational team, create high-level overviews for your management team, and share read-only views to your management team so they are aware of what's going on, but they're not necessarily going to accidentally start making changes from these dashboards or poking into low-level pieces that don't make sense for that stakeholder. So there's lots of different ways to structure this data and share that out based on the stakeholder that you need to serve. Next is the service monitoring. So this is the graphic that we showed a couple slides ago where we don't want users to have to try and manually map an IT component to the impact when they're trying to troubleshoot a problem. We need to have all the information at our fingertips to fix that problem as quickly as possible. So having that service monitoring view allows the operator to quickly see what the business impact is without really worrying about all the low-level details. You could get a flood of alarms and you don't have to go through 1,000 alarms to understand the problem. You take a glance at our services overview dashboard, you can immediately see which services are impacted. Are they impacting end user? Is it an application problem? Is it a problem with maybe a redundant piece of infrastructure that can wait till later while I fix other end user facing problems? It's a great overview. We see a lot of customers, as the picture here depicts, is a lot of people put this up on their knock or up on a wall so that anybody can kind of see what the real-time health status is of their critical services. We'll get into some SLA reporting. That's a critical piece of this. So if I'm responsible for delivering a service to either internal users or external customers, I'm often held to some service level agreement for that service. And Martello IQ provides a number of ways to manage that depending on the needs of that service. I mentioned a little bit about the incident management, and this ties into the way we can automate and help you with managing alerts. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, I've seen some companies that are dealing with 1 million unique alerts every day. Now, while that's maybe an extreme example, even thousands of alerts a day are very, very difficult to manage, especially if you don't have some sort of automatic approach to doing so. So we provide a number of different ways to, one, search for alerts. If somebody's calling you and asking for an update on a particular device or problem, you have that data at your fingertips. You can save these queries for future so that if that problem happens again, you are immediately notified. And then you can create workflows between your service management tools so that hundreds or thousands of alerts that may be related to a single problem bubble up as a single incident into your service management tool. So the help desk isn't flooded with alert noise, but rather problems and the details of the alerts that support that problem. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, it's critical that we can notify you from a mobile device so that you can continue to work remotely and be notified if things may be happening in your environment. And then ultimately, this provides a unification strategy for your IT department where historically you might have to go to multiple stakeholders who are using siloed tools and stitch all this together either in your head or in different tools to understand what's really going on in the environment. Often, a service or application that your business may depend on cannot necessarily be portrayed by one tool. You might have to look at SolarWinds and ServiceNow and System Center and Nagios to understand if this tool is running. We provide a very simple way for you to understand what's going on with those services in a unified view. And we provide a number of different ways for you to get data sources that may not be in those tools because we realize that there may be homegrown tools, there may be supplementary information that you want to include, whether that's through PowerShell or something that might be in a SQL database somewhere. We have ways to pull that data out as well and combine it with these views.